Hello everyone, I'm Grace, and today I will be guiding you through our interactive Ancient Egyptian Sculpture Museum project. What you are seeing now is the starting menu interface of the project, with the bottom left corner indicating that the program was developed by UFJEX Visual Effects Studio, along with the name of the music piece and the composer's name. As you can see, there are two ways to visit the museum. One is the player mode, and the other is the auto roaming mode. Let's take a look at the auto roaming mode first. At the top of the auto roaming mode control interface, there are two buttons. The one on the left is for controlling the background music, and the one on the right is for exiting the auto roaming mode. Next, let's take a look at the program settings options. In these settings, you can mainly control the screen resolution and switch between full screen and windowed modes, as well as adjust the volume with the slider. I'm using the default windowed mode for screen recording. Changing the resolution would stretch the image, so I'll try to keep the settings at their default. Let's also test if the volume slider really can control the volume. Yes, it indeed controls the volume of the background music. Great, let's now enter the player mode and start exploring the museum by controlling the character ourselves. Upon entering the museum, we see an operation guide in the upper right corner of the interface, which includes instructions for moving, running, interaction keys, zooming the view, and exiting. We are currently at the entrance of the museum. Let's take a look around. There are many carvings on the pillars and walls, and there are also reliefs on the main gate. It really looks fantastic. Let's take a closer look at the carvings on the pillars. The pillars at the entrance have a uniform style, and the carvings on their surfaces appear to be very intricate and detailed. The television at the entrance is actually a quiz machine, and this project includes a quiz feature. We won't be trying out this feature right now. Let's first take a look at some of the other exhibits and come back to the quiz later. When you approach a sculpture, a prompt will appear below it, showing the name of the sculpture and instructing you to press the E key to interact with it. After opening the detailed introduction page of the sculpture on the left side, you can see the 3D model of the sculpture in the lower left corner. There are controls that allow users to examine the details of the sculpture more closely by rotating, moving, and zooming the model. The text in the upper left corner is the name of the sculpture. On the right side, there is a text box containing a detailed description of the sculpture, which comes with an auto narration feature. If you do not need the auto narration, you can turn it off by clicking the sound button in the upper left corner. Great, let's now go and check out the other exhibit. The coffin of Akhenaten, Tomb Kev 55, is a colorful pharaoh's coffin discovered in the Valley of the Kings, featuring very beautiful and colorful textures on its surface.
KV-55 is the designation for a tomb located in the Valley of the Kings.
Let's take a closer look at the carvings on the walls. Each brick on the wall features carvings from the Egyptian period, and each brick has slightly different patterns. The entire exhibition hall's walls exude a strong ancient Egyptian atmosphere. This large screen is playing a video of actual ancient Egyptian murals. Below the screen, there is a prompt that allows you to turn the sound on or off. By pressing the O key, the sound of the video is turned off. The video content on the screen opposite is a real footage of actual ancient Egyptian sculpture. All right, let's go and check out some other sculpture. These 3D models of the sculptures are sourced from open source scans provided by the British Museum, so they look very detailed. Since they are open source models, we should not be infringing on any copyright. This anthropomorphic lion-headed statue is called Tara the Granodiorite statue of Sekhmet standing. Tara, I'm not very familiar with ancient Egyptian culture, so please forgive me if there are any mistakes in my description. Let's take a look at the seated version of Sekhafet. This is the seated counterpart to the standing statue we just saw. Sekhafet is an ancient Egyptian goddess, known as the goddess of war and healing. This statue appears to be made of granite.
In ancient Egyptian art, Sekhmet is often.
Let's not move on to the next exhibition hall just yet. Instead, let's go up the stairs and take a look at the overall effect of this hall. You can see that this hall features a large glass dome, and the pillars and exhibits are arranged around it. The hall receives a lot of natural light through the glass dome, making it appear quite bright. Let's take a look at the sculpture with the stone stele in front of it. We'll open the detailed description to see if we can read the content on the stele. The patterns on the stele are mostly clear and visible. This sculpture depicts the image of an ancient Egyptian governor. The craftsmanship is quite intricate and detailed, making it a very fine piece.
Features of the statue. Type: A seated statue.
Great, let's now enter the second exhibition hall. As we come in, we can see two standing statues placed on either side, with a stone table in the middle. The details of the doorway are also very rich. You can clearly see the colorful patterns and the intricate carvings on the pillars on both sides. Let's first take a look at the statue on the right. This statue depicts a family of three. This statue is called the Menkaure Triad or Burkhan. Menkaure was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, and he is depicted here with two deities by his side. As you can see, the patterns carved into the stone slab at the feet of the figures in the sculpture are clearly visible, and the clothing and expressions of the characters are incredibly lifelike. It's truly amazing that ancient Egyptians from more than 4,000 years ago, around 2000 BC, had such incredible carving skills. It's simply unbelievable. This is another statue depicting Pharaoh Menkaure. The stone material used for this statue seems to be different, as the surface color and luster are quite distinct from the previous sculpture.
He succeeded the famous pharaohs Khufu and Khafra, who built the first two pyramids of the Giza pyramid complex. Menkaure built the third pyramid in the complex. His reign marked one of the Nespta's offering table.
The table in the middle is called Nespta's offering table. It is made of stone because it was a ritual object, specifically intended to be placed in a tomb as a funerary item. Such tables were quite common in ancient Egyptian tombs. Let's move further inside. Take a look at this ceiling. The design is quite mysterious. The center is filled with hieroglyphic patterns, and there are ambient lights around the edges. The surrounding area is covered with intricate designs. It really is very beautiful. This hall follows the same design language as the one outside, with the exhibits arranged around the central ceiling feature. Let's take a look at this very textured sarcophagus. As you can see, the surface of the sarcophagus has very clear and detailed textures, and under the lighting, its texture is quite impressive.
The name Khufujadef likely refers to an important figure from the 4th dynasty of ancient Egypt. Although this name does not belong to one of the more famous pharaohs, it could be that of a noble or official. However, because this name is not very common,
All right, let's take another look around at the surrounding sculpture. This is a scarab beetle statue. This is the statue of the Ram of Amun. This is a model sculpture of a tower. Let's open the detailed introduction for this sculpture. Ancient
Tower
Egypt
house
did
models are
have buildings
miniature
with multiple
architectural
stories. This is a model of a
representations found in
building,
ancient
and you
Egypt,
can clearly see the
primarily
windows and
used
door.
as
The
funerary
interior of the
objects.
door is even
These
hollowed
models
out, making it
typically
look
depict
more
scenes
realistic.
of daily life and the buildings in which the ancient Egyptians lived. Tower house models may represent actual structures or be symbolic constructions meant to provide residences for the deceased in the afterlife. Discovery. Time and location. Such models might have been discovered in Egyptian tombs, particularly from the
Let's take a look at this anthropoid coffin of now. This should be a wooden anthropoid coffin featuring intricate and colorful painted design. I believe it is made of
Anthropoid
wood
coffin of
because
wood.
the wooden texture is
Background.
very clear and the
The name
craftsmanship
likely
is
refers to a
extremely
noble or
fine. It's
official
quite
from ancient
remarkable
Egypt.
how the colorful
In
pigments
ancient
have been
Egypt,
preserved on the
anthropoid
wood for
coffins
such
were
a long
special
time.
burial containers used for mummies, typically mimicking human shapes
I
to help
think
the
with this
deceased
tour of
transition
the
smoothly
exhibition,
into the
everyone doesn't
afterlife.
need to travel all the
Newt's
way to the
anthropoid
British
coffin
Museum to
reflects
see
the
these
ancient
artifacts.
Egyptians' beliefs about the afterlife and their preparations for the world beyond death. Characteristics of the coffin. Type. An anthropoid coffin.
Let's take a look at some other exhibits. This is a stone lion sculpture. This is a statue of a hawk, but it represents an ancient Egyptian deity. This is a bust of a pharaoh. You can see that this stone stele is placed in the center of a doorway, which features many clear and detailed relief. There are also ambient lights in the middle, creating a sense of mystery. It reminds me of the movie 2001:
Background.
Space Odyssey to
The
it, and I
Rosetta
think the
Stone is a
designer wanted to
significant
evoke a
artifact
similar
inscribed
feeling
with
for the
same
visitor.
text in 3 different scripts: ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, Demotic
This is the
script,
Rosetta
and
Stone.
Greek.
It features inscriptions in both
discovery of
ancient
the stone
Egyptian
greatly helped
hieroglyphs and
modern
ancient
scholars
Greek.
decipher ancient
The
Egyptian
text on the
hieroglyphs.
stone is a decree
Discovery.
issued at Memphis
Time
in
and place.
196
The Rosetta Stone was
Bryce on
discovered in
behalf of King Ptolemy.
1799
The
by
decree
French
is written
engineer
in 3
Pierre
scripts:
François Bouchard in the town
hieroglyphs,
of Rosetta,
Demotic, a
modern-day
form of
Rashid in
ancient
Egypt.
Egyptian script, and
At the
ancient Greek.
time, Napoleon's army.
All right, we have now finished touring the entire exhibition hall. Let's slowly make our way out, and we can take a brief look at the sculptures that we haven't seen in detail as we go. Our main goal now is to head to the quiz machine and experience the quiz system. This is a seated statue of Roy, the high priest of Amut. All right, now I'm going to start the quiz. I don't have a good memory, and I didn't really remember what I saw earlier, so I'll just choose answers randomly. The main goal is to demonstrate the quiz system. There are a total of 10 questions, and I'll go through them quickly. Great. Congratulations on answering all the questions correctly. All right, that's all for this interactive digital museum. Now I will exit and enter the auto roaming mode. In auto roaming mode, I won't be speaking to everyone to avoid disturbing your enjoyment. Now let's start enjoying the auto roaming experience. All right, let's conclude here. I look forward to bringing you even more exciting interactive projects in the future. See you next time.